Hey, welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, the lactation consultant.
And this is Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Nursing Queen. Nursing Queen offers stylish nursing clothes that will make your life easier and that you'll want to wear long after your nursing days are over. And today's episode is also brought to you by Fairhaven Health. Milky's Nipple Nurture Balm is your organic and lanolin-free answer to sore or cracked nipples. But we will hear more from our sponsors later. And right now, Dianne has our review of the week.
I do have our review of the week. And our review of the week is from, I always have fun trying to say these little names. And it's not even like a difficult one, but I just don't want to say it wrong. I would have never made a good, school teacher or anything like that. Ethel 0727. I think that was right. If not, I'm really sorry. Yep. I didn't mean to butcher it. But what she says is, I was scared to death about feeding my little one even before he arrived and was lucky enough to be able to attend a breastfeeding class by Dianne Cassidy. Right away, I felt better. From debunking the myth that breastfeeding moms can't enjoy a drink to educating me about why my mom likely said breastfeeding was impossible for her, I just got the sense that it isn't so bad, and I have found that breastfeeding is actually amazing, and I love it so much, as does my son. I've tried to really stay ahead of any potential issues by keeping up with the relevant podcasts to my son's age and development, and it's worked really well so far. Shout out to the Breast Strike podcast for being there just in time. I definitely suggest listening to this podcast. You should be able to complete an episode in one day's commute to and from work, and Dianne and Abby are extremely entertaining. And the title of this review was A Must for the Non-Expert Mommy. And one of the things I love about our reviews is I love it when they tell us which episode really stood out for them. She really, said about the nursing strike when we did that episode, that was really great. She was experiencing that at that moment. So I just love that some of these episodes really hit home for people. It's not just like, oh, the information was really great. Some of these episodes are just really hit home, and I love that.
Yeah, and we don't want it to be, we are experts in some certain ways, but we don't want it to be just kind of bland information to make you smarter. We want this to actually help you. It's not It's not a class. This is supposed to be actually helping you intervene and solve problems.
Yeah, so we would love it if you keep sending us reviews on iTunes, and you could be our review of the week. Let us know, what you like. Let us know if you have suggestions, and let's go from there. What are we talking about today? What should we talk about? What should we make people smarter about today?
Comfort nursing. Doesn't everybody want to talk about comfort nursing?
Oh my God.
Because all of your kiddos do it.
They all do it.
It's a big one.
Think we don't have enough milk when they're doing it, and society hates it and tells you that your baby shouldn't be doing it.
Right. They say, your baby's using you as a pacifier, I
hate that.
Which is based in, it's just total misinformation and misunderstanding of what's going on. And it's totally insulting of what the baby is doing. The baby is never just hanging around there doing nothing.
Right.
There's never no reason for your baby to be there.
The pacifier is a replacement for the mother.
Exactly.
So
for the boob. It's
for anybody to say oh, the baby's using you as a pacifier. I hear that probably once a day. The baby's using me as a pacifier. I don't want the baby to just use me as a pacifier. And it's that is such, I don't know, it just makes my skin crawl every time I hear it, because that's not what's happening. That is not what's happening. And I think, we're just inclined to believe that if the baby is doing anything but nursing, it's wrong.
Right. Well, this comes from a bottle feeding norm, right? So bottle feeding is the norm in our culture. And when you are bottle feeding a baby, pacifiers are quite handy. Because you don't want your baby to just be kind of constantly suckling and comfort suckling a bottle, because they will overfeed.
Right.
So a pacifier.
And once the bottle's gone, it's gone. You got to.
Right.
Yeah.
Then it's gone. Right.
And once the bottle's gone, it's gone. And then babies still want to suck. So then you just pop the pacifier in.
Right.
So that's kind of how a lot of that happened.
Exactly. That's how that became the thing. How pacifiers came useful. But I forgot what I was going to say now. You talk.
Oh my, I'm sorry. So this has come up. Well, this comes up a lot, but this week especially, it came up a couple of times. Once with a newborn, or twice actually. More than once with a newborn, and once with an older baby. So I thought it was perfect timing to talk about comfort feeding because it's not something that you see with just a newborn baby either.
My 6.5-year-old comfort nursed himself to sleep.
Yeah.
And why? And people, and you could very easily say, "Well, he's using you as a pacifier." Well, but that doesn't make any. The comfort nursing
that doesn't nurture. The pacifier is not nurturing, comforting, and securing him.
Well, I don't need.
It's putting him to sleep.
Pacifier. Yeah, I have my boob. It's right here.
Right.
I've got it.
Right.
And he, that is how he was able to go to sleep. And that was not, it's not manipulative. It's not, harmful. It's not any of these list of things that people would say. This is totally normal. The suckling, the comfort through suckling that's how they're wired. Mm-hmm. For a very long time, a lot longer than people want to think. I mean, where does sucking thumbs come from? You see a lot of thumb sucking, right, in babies that are weaned early. You don't tend to see thumb sucking in kids who are breastfed, for a long time. Now, if you weaned early and your kid sucks at home, it's fine. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing.
Don't worry
I'm
about
just
that.
trying to illustrate where I'm trying to talk about, how the comfort suckling is, comes out for all kids.
I mean, it's just a normal process of development, and we're trying to squash it. It's just, I don't know. But it's hard. Like if the other end of it is like, you're tired, maybe you're sore, you're new into the, and you're questioning everything. And is a baby really nursing? Is a baby not nursing? Like, then it can feel very overwhelming. And then when they get older, you're kind of like, okay, this will calm him. This will put him to sleep. And you're kind of almost using it as like a crutch, not, what I mean? Not like it's just, that's what's going to help. So you do it knowing that there's no downside and it's not a big deal. But in the beginning, when you have your newborns, this is a huge issue for parents because they don't realize that this is such a common thing. And they think the first thing they think of is what? The baby's not getting enough to eat.
Right.
The first thing that they think of. The first thing that everybody thinks of. The grandma, the father, the partner, the uncle, the neighbor, whatever. Everybody said, oh, your baby's on the breast again? They must not be getting enough to eat. Your baby's rooting.
Yep.
What is your baby doing? They're looking around. They're looking for something. Must not have gotten enough to eat. It's not the case most of the time.
No, and actually, the more that your baby is at your breast, the more milk that you will make. Right. Even if they're just hanging out there and not doing anything, which, by the way, is quite rare. I mean, people, when they think that their baby is just kind of hanging out, they are actually, milk is transferring most of the time, even if it's small amounts. But they're still stimulating, your hormones and things like that, and that's very important to milk supply.
Absolutely. It's very important for milk supply. It's very important for brain development. It's very important to, secure that trust that they're building with you, to secure relationship and attachment. There's so much to it. And it's a really important piece. So to try to remove yourself from the idea that the baby is using you or manipulating you or, just, I don't know what, but that's not what's happening. at all.
No, babies
That's
aren't
not what's
capable of manipulating. It doesn't matter what they're doing. They're not capable. They're not developmentally capable of manipulating you.
No.
They're never doing that, ever. It doesn't matter what they're doing. Comfort nursing, crying, anything. That's not what is ever happening.
No.
And I do think it's interesting because people will say, back to the whole feeding all the time thing, people will be like, oh, they're not. So we have kind of like two sides of it, right? Somebody who's like, oh, you're not making enough milk. Mm-hmm. That fear. And then well, they're not even eating now. They're just using you. You should just take them off. How do they know they're not eating? How do they know that there's no... How do they know?
I know.
I mean, you might know, or you might not. I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell. I mean, sometimes they're really nursing hard, and you can tell when they're really... But sometimes they're just kind of,
Yeah.
Babies eat at different speeds, too. Not every baby is, going to be eating. They don't all eat exactly the same.
And I mean, I think too, the important thing to remember is babies don't need to breastfeed just for food. Like there's a meme going around on Facebook. I'm sure you've seen it. You've probably even posted it, that like babies nurse because of, and then there's like a whole slew of, of reasons.
Oh yeah. I just made one of those.
Did you? It's so fantastic.
I made one
because
last month.
Everybody like babies only, they're not eating. So, we need to do this, or, oh, nope, they just ate, can't put them back on, or they're not. And it's like, it definitely depends on what your situation is. But honest to God, they don't eat. They don't go to the breast just to eat. That's not their main focus. What they get from breastfeeding
is so much more.
Yeah. And food is like such a small percentage of what they actually get breastfeeding anyway. Like Absolutely. It is just such a small part of it. And it's not, that's why it drives me crazy when people just automatically, like if they choose not to breastfeed, or if they choose to wean early for whatever reason, or if it was suggested by their doctor to start introducing, formula or solids or anything that. And it's like, but it's not, breastfeeding should not be considered just a way to feed your baby, because that's not what it is.
No, and when they're, at this, when they're babies, that's all they know. Mm-hmm. They're not like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm going to breastfeed. And now I'm cold, I'm going to put a blanket on. And now I'm scared, so I'm going to, ask for some help. Like they can't, all they know is to latch on and suckle.
Yeah.
That gives them that gives them food, that gives them comfort. And all of this stuff is kind of blurred together. It's not compartmentalized like it is for adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all they know.
It's just, yeah. So when they're newborn, so like a couple of the mamas that I saw this week, and said it was a newborn thing. And the majority of the time when I have a new family, we talk about what feedings are going to look like. Like this is what your baby's doing when they're swallowing. This is what your baby looks like when they're feeding. This is what it looks like. But it never fails that it's just like, well, the baby's at the breast for like an hour, or the baby's doing this. The baby, I thought they're just feeding constantly, so I didn't know if they're getting enough. And it really is, it's a comfort thing. And I think it's really so hard for so many people to understand that your baby just wants to be with you, especially in the newborn phase. My gosh, I can't put the baby down. No, they don't want to be put down. They want to be held by you. They want to be at the breast. They want to be soothed and calmed, and they want to suck because it's coming. That's where they want to be. It's not that they're starving. That's a comfort thing. It's comfort, it's security, it's trust. You're answering their needs. You're responding to their needs. And that is what needs to happen. So it's not like, okay, this is a horrible situation and your baby's starving all night long. But people really do that. Oh, they feed all night. She must not be getting enough. She feeds all night long. Something's wrong because she feeds all night. No, it's really not. And I did say with somebody recently, because they said it's, the evening time. A lot of this happens sometimes in the evening. You'll just get like those pockets of time where the baby will cluster feed and just be on the breast for hours, on and off, maybe with a 15, 20-minute break here and there, depending. But for the most part, like just on the breast for several hours at a time. And people really are just like, she's starving. I'm not making enough milk in the evening. They're starving. She's not. And I'm like, that is a comfort thing. It is not. But I just cannot convince them. Everybody's convinced they're starving. It's the comfort. They're not
Yeah,
hungry.
that's the main fear, right? I mean, that's the main fear kind of in everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
that
so the
milk
first
supply
thing I
is that
usually
number
do-
one fear.
Right, is milk supply. So usually what I say to that mom is, how is the baby for the rest of the day? Oh, fine. She'll eat, sleep for 2 hours, whatever, then, get up and eat again. Like, okay, if it was a milk supply problem, this probably would be happening all day long, not at just a certain time of the day. And how is the baby's weight gain? Oh, the baby gained like 5 ounces in 2 days. Okay, then the baby's eating. Like, this has nothing to do with feeding. This is not, this is more of a comfort thing. This is just, get a wrap, get, whatever that you need to be comfortable, accept that it's going to happen because it just is the way they're wired to be with you. I mean, they were legitimately attached to your body, and now they're not anymore, and they want to still be attached to your body.
Yeah, it's going to take, that transition is going to take a while.
It is. Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to years and years and years.
And it's normal. It's normal. It's normal for your baby to feed like that. It's totally okay. It's overwhelming. And you know what? It is perfectly okay to tell your friend or tell your mom's group or tell whoever is a support person for you, this is really overwhelming to me and it's really hard. Because it is in the beginning. You're recovering from birth and you're just trying to wrap your head around everything. And it feels really overwhelmed to be needed like that. But it's not forever. Well, you'll be needed forever. But your baby is not going to feed like that forever, But if people knew, like if our society just put it out there that like this, your baby wants to be attached to you. Your baby wants to be comforted and needed. And, this is just how it is. But no, our society's like, separate them, put them in their own room, put them over here, cut them off after they've eaten for a few minutes. Don't offer them if it hasn't been a certain amount of time. Like it's ridiculous. Some of the guidance that's out there about separating moms and babies like that.
I agree. It really is. And we should talk more about that after a word from our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Nursing Queen. Nursing Queen was started by a nursing mom who wanted to see more stylish options of nursing clothes, especially cute, non-clingy styles that look great wash after wash, because you'll be wearing those tops on repeat. Nursing Queen focuses on designs that look like regular clothes, which you'll wear long after your nursing days. They feature hidden zippers or flaps for easy one-handed access. Nursing Queen is for the mom who appreciates great style and quality, but doesn't want to spend a fortune on nursing clothes. From cozy hoodies to dresses to wear to a baby shower or wedding, the designs and color options are gorgeous, just like you. Breastfeeding and taking care of a new baby is challenging enough, and finding something great to wear shouldn't be so hard. Nursing Queen has you covered with top-rated customer service and products, and they're based in the U.S. Check out the entire Nursing Queen collection of tops, dresses, swimsuits, hoodies, and sweatshirts at nursingqueen.com. And you can use promo code BADASS for 10% off your purchase. And today's episode is also brought to you by Fairhaven Health. If you are not suffering from sore nipples, are you even a breastfeeder? And when sore nipples turn to cracked nipples, forget about it. It's enough to want to call it quits. All joking aside, damaged nipples can cause real problems with successfully breastfeeding your baby. Milky's Nipple Nurture Balm is formulated to soothe, protect, and heal sore or cracked nipples. This nipple balm is made with organic herbal ingredients and combined with natural moisturizers to help provide relief and to heal affected areas and even prevent cracks from reappearing. Nurture Nipple Balm alleviates the discomfort so the joy can be restored to your special bonding time. It is safe for both parent and baby, and there is no need to wipe it off before breastfeeding. Head to fairhavenhealth.com and use promo code BADASS for 10% off your purchase. And these sponsor links, as well as these promo codes, can be found at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, along with all of our breastfeeding resources, all of our other episodes, and information about scheduling your very own lactation consultation with Dianne.
So, I had a mama this week that we actually did an online consultation. Her baby is 18 months and doing a lot of comfort nursing. And she's kind of at that place. And she said, that I could talk about this because it was like perfect timing for this conversation. That baby Adam is just he's doing a lot of comfort nursing for sure. And, Cynthia's feeling a little bit like at that place where she's like, I need some boundaries. I'm feeling a little nursing aversion, and she just really wanted to talk about it and see what options were and what she could do. And we talked about, what their nursing looks like. And if they're out of the house, he's fine. He'll drink from a cup with no problem, or, take snacks, and he'll eat, some food or whatever. Even if she tries to nurse him when they're out somewhere, he won't even be bothered. Like, he's fine all day. But if they're home, then he wants to just nurse all day long. So we're like, okay, we know that he can do it, that he doesn't really, that's a comfort. He's doing a lot of comfort nursing during the daytime. That is his thing. But she's like, I can't, I don't mind nursing him in the morning, nursing him at nap, nursing him before at bedtime and during the night. She's like, but that, during the day, it's just getting to be too much for me. So like, that is also, but her concern was too, am I going to take away calories for him? Am I taking away his food? And, we really had to break it down and be like, okay, like, when does he eat during the day? What does that look like? What happens when you go out? And when we determined, like, he goes out with them and he's fine, he doesn't need to nurse, even when offered, that it's more of a comfort thing, and we talked about setting up boundaries. But it's really hard because you have that in your head, that like, oh my gosh, is this going to be the wrong decision? Am I taking food from my baby? That's what happens when you get to be like the older child. Earlier, it feels like, we don't want to give him all that food for whatever reason. We don't want to keep feeding him. But, when our baby's older, it's like, okay, am I making the right decision? And
yeah,
I know
the transition to different phases of breastfeeding is really difficult. I mean, you are constantly reassessing where you are with breastfeeding for as long as you're breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that comfort nursing doesn't go away. And like you said, Jack comfort nursed until he was 6.5. And that doesn't necessarily go away. When they're newborn, they're doing it for a certain reason. When they're older, they're doing it for a certain reason. It's not something that they're going to necessarily like grow out of. They still need you, And one of the things that Cynthia said when we followed up this week too, she had said to me that I asked her how it was going. And she said that, he just needs more mom time if he's not nursing as much, so it's like, it's that comfort. They just want to be with you, and like we were saying earlier, the breastfeeding is the only thing your baby has known since day one of their life, hour one, in most cases of their life. That's the only thing they know. So if we take that away, or when it's time for them to decide to move on to something else and they choose to not nurse anymore, they're replacing it with something, like they still need you. They're never going to not need you.
Yeah. They need to be developmentally ready to transition to something else. Mm-hmm. And that takes a long time, longer than we want. But one of the things I notice about comfort nursing is that we say comfort with like such disdain. Like, oh, they're just comfort nursing. This is what we did when I used to work at the residential facility. They're just doing it for attention. Okay, everybody needs comfort and everybody needs attention. Like, why are we treating this like it's not a need? It is a need. You are meeting your baby's need.
Right. We're making it sound like criminal activity. Like, oh,
yeah,
this baby. They're just comfort nursing.
Yeah, this baby is just really, they're really asking me for something they don't need.
That they need attention.
They don't do that.
Mm-mm. No, but you're right. Like, that's like to compare it to that when people say, oh yeah, this person just needs attention, this is why they're behaving like this. It's like, well, yeah, everybody does need attention. Everybody needs comfort. Everybody needs attention. Your baby's going to need a lot of things, and that starts from day one. But the more you do it with them, the more you offer them the breast, the more you give them that comfort, the better it is for them. Like the better everything is. It might not seem like it. People might tell you, oh, you can't nurse them all the time like that, because then they're going to get used to it. They're going to get spoiled. They're going to get attached to you, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, they're going to grow up to know that their mom is there. And that's what we want. Yeah, we all want that.
As long whatever your baby is doing is normal and okay. Like there's no such thing as like nursing too much,
Right.
So now that we've validated really like the behavior of like the constantly nursing baby or the comfort nursing baby, I think we could talk a little bit about because when I first had, both of, not so much my first, but with my second, I remember kind of being like, well, he's nursing all the time. And I understood that it was normal and I understood all this, but I also needed to like pee and, do certain things and just stand up and maybe take a shower. And, you just had a baby. So you need to do the little sitz baths or like all that. Like if I tried to get both of my kids to take a pacifier and they wouldn't do it, I tried to use that downtime, you can totally try to give your baby a pacifier. That's okay. Like it's not going to, if you stick a pacifier in their mouth all the time, it might start to affect your supply and things like that if you're not breastfeeding on demand and all that. But if your baby will take a pacifier and it's okay, if you can jump in the shower or you can do something while they're kind of, just resting, that's okay. You're not going to mess anything up.
No, not at all. And I often will talk to parents about that, because I like it if they are identifying when a baby is actually feeding and when they're doing more of a comfort nursing. And I always tell them, like if you know that the baby is fed and you need to like do something, get a shower, whatever, and you have help there, somebody else that can take the baby or whatever you want to do, that's okay to take the baby off at that point because the feeding is done and you can give them the pacifier if they'll take it, or you can give them to, your partner or your mom or whoever else is there with you while you can get a break if that's what you need. There's nothing wrong with that. If we know the baby is fed, then that's okay. They just need that comforting time. They need that snuggle time that they can get from, somebody else that's there helping you too. Because you do have to pee sometimes and you do have to get a meal sometimes, like it's not like we're not saying just sit on your couch with your baby on your boob for 24 hours a day. There's definitely, people need a break.
Yeah. We want to validate that the comfort nursing of your baby is totally normal and it's not a milk supply problem and it's not a sign that there's something wrong. We want to validate that, but we also want to validate how overwhelming and how hard, this is, and that if you want to take a break and you will need to take a break, and that's okay too, so it's two-sided, really. I mean, everything is okay. Comfort nursing is fine. It's good. It's great to do and to let your baby do that. But it's also okay to take a break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just fine. I mean, personally, in the early days, I wish, if I had my way, which I never have my way, but if I had my way, I would have mamas like just lay on their couch with nursing their baby or find a comfortable spot, nurse your baby, watch TV, whatever it is that you want to do, binge some show on Netflix or something and just relax, like have nothing else to do and just relax. And that would be ideal. I mean, sometimes I'll have moms that say, well, can I just leave? Is that going to be okay if I leave the baby there? Because he's quiet and it's fine. And I'm just sitting here watching, whatever show anyway. And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's perfectly fine. So there is no, like you said, there's no too much, You know, like there's no like, okay, yeah, it's been long enough now. You need to cut them off and take them off. Like you don't have to do that. There's no too much.
No, I always tell that story, or I've told it a couple of times, where like my husband would leave for work in the morning, hand me the remote control and like as many snacks as would fill up on the couch, and I would just sit there. And I knew all the shows, and I would sit, and he'd come home and he'd be like, "Have you moved?" And I'm like, "As little as possible."
Yeah.
And it was always just to like pee or, you know, and it was, you know, it seemed really hard. It was really hard. And that's the other thing. This time you were touching on this too, is that this time will pass. You know, it seems like a lot. It seems like, I mean, even for me in the beginning with my first, it seemed like a very scary and dark time, and where, you know, everything that's going on, you're questioning, and things are changing quickly, and you don't know which way is up. And I hate it when people say things will get better, because they don't necessarily get better. They get different. But it won't always be like it is right now forever. Things will evolve. Things will progress. Things always...
Right, it evolves.
I remember saying, when I just started tandem nursing, I was talking to a friend, and I was like, man, it's so different now, you know, with my first, like I was having nursing aversion. It was so, it was really rough. And she was like, yeah, breastfeeding evolves. And I was like, yeah, it does. It just evolves like anything else.
It does. It becomes your new normal. And you just kind of like accept, you know, it is what your life is now. You just evolve. Yeah. So that's it. That's what my feeling on comfort nursing is.
Mine too.
Today.
And yeah, it's not all, you know, it's not this, it's, I think we, you know, especially people around us, they make it really a lot more complicated than it really is. Because I think a lot of times people are getting these doubts in their heads because everybody's around them, you know, and so I know it's really it's easier said than done, but try to block all those people out. And, you know, if you need anything, let us know. Right.
Let us know. Listen to your instinct. If your instinct says this is what feels right, then that's what you should do.
Then it's right.
Do what feels right for you. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. We hope that you have a better understanding of comfort nursing now, or at least feel a little bit validated in your comfort nursing or your need for a break.
Yeah, absolutely. And let us know if you need anything. Bye.
Bye.